Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jock and Jill podcast. This is your boy Guru from Cold Coffee TV here with your girl Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess. Before we get into it, I want to go ahead and just talk about the fact that there wasn't no surprises last night. The 49ers took a loss as expected. It seems like Joan Madden's got to get schooled a little bit by the Guru just before she really elevating the superstar status. While I'm already at superstar status, this is, reminiscent of the time when Paul George was talking about, he was looking up to LeBron really when he was playing on his level, but he just wasn't quite, he didn't really realize he was on his level just yet. But, the 49ers are the same old team, just a different game. Kelly can't coach, and he's still a lame. The remix to Ace Hook's song, Hustle Hard, but yeah, we're going to get right up into it. So, Joan, how you feel about how that game played out last night?
Oh, I fell asleep. I woke up like this. I'm just getting up. You were saying something. I think you were speaking in like Japanese or German or something. I didn't comprehend. I didn't understand. I'm lost. What happened was, let me give myself a stretch. Do my morning yawning. So you had said something about that part. Well, whatever. Anyway. The part that I did want to get some clarification on, because here's the thing, we haven't talked about basketball yet. You're the Pacers fan. I'm the LeBron fan.
Right.
And so you want to sit somewhere and incorporate Paul George and LeBron. You do know LeBron is the reigning champ. Beat Paul George, sent him home out of the playoffs. So I don't know. Is that the angle you meant to take?
I know LeBron is not a giant killer. I know LeBron in the clutch, he shrinks when it's crunch moments. He's not Michael or Kobe. If you want to be honest about the fact that he joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, he had to join 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA. But yeah, we're not talking NBA. But, to me, I got a lot of arguments to make against LeBron James, not being as great as Paul George. And I know that a lot of people think that might be blasphemous, but we'll wait till we get to NBA to talk about that.
Yeah, let's do that. But let's go back to, real quick, though, because you brought it up. All I was talking about was your Paul George and LeBron comparison. I was keeping it isolated. But since you went there, LeBron is a generous player. He's already a legend. He's trying to bring out the best in other people. He's not a selfish player. So his MO is a little bit different than that of Kobe, who has a shoot-first mentality, and that of Jordan, who also has a killer instinct of I'm going to be the reason why we won mentality. So LeBron doesn't play like that. He's a very selfless player. He's a leader, but he's selfless. And then if you want to sit somewhere and talk about people joining people, I've been saying this. KD's is way worse because KD went and joined the team that he was beating 3-1. And then they came back and practically ran a train on him and won the next 3. But LeBron didn't join people that beat him. You see what I'm saying? He just wanted to go play with his friends, take care of business, get a ring. I mean, Gary Payton was kind of doing some of the stuff that LeBron did, but Gary Payton went and joined people that beat him.
When did Gary Payton do that?
Gary Payton did it twice. Gary Payton did it with LA. He got a ring.
Oh yeah.
Now Karl Malone
they didn't get that ring in LA.
No, but didn't Gary Payton get a ring?
I thought them D boys knocked him off. Detroit, Ben Wallace and
I'm sorry. Okay, but Gary Payton did it with Miami.
Okay.
But that was he came to the East Coast and did it, but still it's not like it hasn't happened. Even though with some trading involved, how do you think Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen got their ring with Boston? I mean, they joined.
Boys ain't had no control over that though. That ain't right.
But still though, it's not like it doesn't exist. Is what I'm saying. And LeBron was also a free agent. It wasn't like he was just running to them. The opportunity came about, and Cleveland wasn't giving him the necessary pieces. And he was like, "I'm out. I want a championship." And I don't blame him if I'm doing here and I'm busting tail. Y'all not surrounding me with the right pieces. But also, what LeBron gets additional credit for me is he promised that he would bring Cleveland back a ring. And he didn't do it last year. And instead of when Golden State beat him last year, instead of being like KD and tucking his tail and deciding, whoever can't beat him, join him, he turned around and beat him the next year. San Antonio did the same thing. When Miami beat San Antonio that year, Tony Parker them didn't go run to Miami. Tim Duncan didn't go run to Miami. They just came back the next year and waxed Miami's tail. That's how you do it, KD. That's how you get done. But again, we'll be getting into that. NBA's less than a month away. I just came from the Celtics and Hornets game that was in Greensboro. So yeah, the NBA is amongst us as we get closer to the season, and we'll unfold those things. But only reason why I touched on it was because, again, I try to keep this very isolated between Paul George and LeBron. But you went there, sir. And speaking of went there, the Arizona Cardinals went there tonight in securing a victory in the NFC West. And of course, last night I was picking San Fran as my upset pick. It was just more so because Arizona did not have their starting quarterback. I just really didn't think that San Francisco was going to lose 2 straight at home. You know, I just thought that maybe they would make some adjustments and do some things differently to get it done. Because Arizona is not playing up to the 2015 Arizona Cardinals that we know of. Up until tonight, they did show up. But, yeah, Chip Kelly is running a very dysfunctional team right now. This is going to be really, really funny, as we talked about on the previous podcast. I mean, honestly, it's to the point to where, like, you got to pull Gabbert out, or you have to put Kaepernick in. It's almost like you got to put that personal stuff aside, because especially unless you just you're not in the business to win games.
That's Kaepernick the thing.
In. Yeah, but you got to put Kaepernick in. At this point in the game, you have to put Kaepernick in. And put that pride aside, swallow that pill. Look, the guy's not against the military. He's just against police brutality. He's against the 3rd verse of the national anthem. So instead of everybody, since we're dissecting, thinking what he's against incorrectly, let's talk about the issues that he is against. And those are very vital and important issues that need to be discussed. But if you don't want to go there, like I said, if you don't want to put the political aspect in it, okay, with the game of it, but do not hold that man accountable for those feelings by not letting him come in and win you ball games. I mean, otherwise your franchise is at the point of self-destruction.
And I think that, you know, that's the point. You know, I think that Chip Kelly doesn't mind his franchise being at the point of self-destruction. You know, this is a point that was made when he was a coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. I remember LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin. These guys all had negative words to say about the man. He kept Riley Cooper on the team after that tirade of him using the N-word, but released, you know, all of the talented black players, you know, after, you know, so-called questionable association. So to me, that says something. Now you have a situation where you know that Colin Kaepernick's probably the better quarterback sitting on the bench, and you're going to continue to play the scrub Blaine Gabbert, who we know has a history of being a scrub in Jacksonville. So now, you know, that says a lot.
Let's just change his name from Blaine Gabbert to Blame Gabbert, because this is totally all of your fault. I mean, you throwing pick sixes, you scrambling, but when you're scrambling, you're not even throwing the ball away to, like, not take the sack, just to kind of just repeat the down, you know, like it'd be like a second and 10 or whatever. You're actually losing yards in your scrambling because you're getting sacked, you're getting tackled, you're getting pushed out of bounds before you get back to the line of scrimmage. I mean, yeah, let's call this dude Blaine Gabbert. And going back to the situation, you brought up something very interesting about how it was like imploded with the Philly franchise with Chip Kelly. Why do you keep on wanting to do that? Like, do you want to go back to college? Do you want to end your coaching career? And also, with him doing that in Philly, here's the difference between Philly and San Francisco. San Francisco was just removed from a Super Bowl 4 Februarys ago. February 2013, they were just in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Also, San Francisco has a legacy of, they went to the Super Bowl 6 times. They've won 5.
Yep.
Philly doesn't have that luxury. So it's kind of like, they're kind of used to it, for lack of a better phrase here. I mean, did you really think that Chip Kelly was going to bring them a Super Bowl? Like, they're not known for that. That's what I'm getting at here. They're not really known for, like, bringing... But, like, in all honesty, did we really expect Chip Kelly to bring a Super Bowl to Philly? I mean, Andy Reid was probably their best chance. Donovan McNabb was probably their best chances of getting a Super Bowl. And I know everybody's high off of Philly right now being a 3-0 record, but peep the rest of their schedule. Side note there, but yeah, no. But Chip Kelly, you can't keep going from franchise to franchise, just dropping grenades and doing this. At some point in time, again, just like there's a lot of players that don't even like each other. Like you brought up the Riley Cooper thing. But at the end of the day, it's 60 minutes on that field. You got to put all of that aside and go out and get this win. That is the objective. And to come on the field with 10 fingers and toes and leave the field with 10 fingers and toes. Any of that personal stuff, you said this about me, I don't like your views about that, you got to put that stuff on pause for those 4 quarters of the game. And I think it really is necessary, it is mandatory for the San Francisco 49ers to do such a thing when it comes to this Colin Kaepernick thing, or otherwise you're going to keep losing with Blame Gabbert. It's just all it is to it. Now, on the previous podcast, we were talking about the preview of last night's game, and of course the Guru picked the Cardinals, and I was hoping that San Fran would pull off an upset. More of a charity pick. Like, I was starting to feel sorry for them, but here they are, 2 consecutive home losses. My goodness. and a lone win. So they're currently standing at a 1-4 record. And so, like I said, we kind of prelude to that last night. We also did on the previous episode, we broke down the 1 o'clock games and who we thought was going to win the 1 o'clock games. For the Tennessee visiting Miami game, we both picked Tennessee to win that game. But within the past day, some things have transpired. Of course, the Hurricane Matthew situation is something that everyone's keeping their eye on. No pun intended with the eye of the storm, but everyone's really literally keeping their eye on this, tracking that storm. And the NFL has created some contingency plans just in case with the path of the storm, if they do have to relocate the game, because it is supposed to be a home game and played in Miami. I definitely understand and agree. There's, in my lifetime, of course, when 9/11 happened, the original 9/11, not the anniversaries, because, you know, football season typically resumes regular season around September 11th. But that particular year in 2001, I remember the NFL shut down the whole entire week of football season. Mm-hmm. So we had no football that week. That incident happened on Tuesday, September 11th of that year. That Sunday we had no football. And at the time, the Thursday night games weren't even popping off like that, I don't think. Then I remember a few weeks ago, I went to that game when Minnesota came to Carolina because of all the protests that were going on. And talks of relocating, Clemson kind of came up, but they decided to keep the game in Carolina, and I don't think Carolina was emotionally stable for that game, but the game remained in Charlotte. This time we're dealing with a natural disaster. Not protests, but a natural disaster. So I think it is imperative that the NFL shut this game down, relocate it, reschedule it, whatever the case may be. Even though they're looking at it as a contingency plan, I know there's always the possibility of, well, we might not even need to do it, and because everything's already set up there, there's the inconvenience if you have to move it and stuff like that. But I say get that game up out of Miami. Because the thing is, with natural disasters, you have absolutely no control of that. Like the protests, you can kind of do like crowd control. You got police and stuff. Police can't, look, ain't no police gonna stop no hurricane, honey. I'm sorry. You never really know. You can project and look at the meteorology report and all that you want to. But at the end of the day, that storm's gonna do whatever it wants to do. I say they need to go ahead and just relocate it. Bump them contingency plans. Get that game up out of Miami.
Get it up out of there.
So you agree? Like you think, this is like a Hurricane Andrew type thing, Hurricane Hugo type thing. Like, get it. It's gotta go.
Right. This is a life or death situation, so
right.
You definitely need to cancel the game and go ahead and just move it, or maybe not even necessarily have to cancel it, but you gotta move it. That's for sure.
Right, and then it's like y'all up here talking about concussions and safety first and stuff like that. This is beyond safety first. We're talking about people's lives here, and Haiti has claimed like 200 people so far.
Them owners sitting around counting money. They like, man, I don't know. We might be able to still get this in.
Right. No, y'all better sit down. Y'all better move that game. Again, I know it's inconvenience and, time is ticking because it's Thursday and that game is supposed to happen on Sunday. But look, y'all got to get that game up out of there. But our prayers and thoughts definitely go out to all the victims and families affected by Hurricane Matthew, starting with the ones like in the Caribbean and in Haiti and in the Bahamas. It looks like Miami will definitely be affected. They've been told to evacuate Charleston as well. And here in North Carolina, we'll get some of the brunts. I mean, some of the rain and wind has been picking up, but I definitely don't think that we'll get it as bad as them. Gratefully, we won't. But again, thoughts and prayers go out to those who have been affected and those who are anticipating and having to make those adjustments. But again, we already talked about the 1 o'clock games. We just had to bring that in about monitoring the progress of where that Miami game may be, if it's rescheduled, relocated. So we'll be tuning into that most definitely, and we know that you all will be as well. But picking up with our picks for the remaining Sunday games, the ones that are at 4:05, 4:25, and the Sunday night game, and also the Monday game, let's go ahead and get into our picks. So we have Atlanta coming off of a huge divisional win last Sunday, and I actually witnessed that, and if it looks as bad as you guys saw it on TV, trust me, it was worse in person. Especially when you were down there with the Panthers fan like I was. It was ugly, it was nasty. But hey, the highlight of it was that the music was great in the dome. Like, it was great to hear all those old school Lil Jon and T.I. and Jeezy and Shorty Low songs. I was crunk off of that, and I was cute, my little Panther stuff, repping since I'm from Carolina. But yeah, that was the highlight of the game, honestly. But Atlanta, this time, they traveled to the Super Bowl champions. And you know what was so interesting, I found out today about Coleman, the running back from Atlanta.
Tevin Coleman.
He has sickle cell anemia.
Yeah.
He has that trait. So I remember when Ryan Clark, formerly of the Steelers, he's now retired, and I think he's still with ESPN. But Ryan Clark actually went to Pittsburgh years ago, played, spleen ruptured, and come to find out, like, his spleen ruptured because he had sickle cell anemia. So I think Coleman's is a little bit different because he already knows he has it.
Right.
But they're monitoring him. They're going to check him as soon as he gets out there. Ryan Clark couldn't even go to Denver anymore as a result. I think now possibly, but he couldn't go to Denver to play.
Right.
But they're going to definitely be monitoring Coleman. I think that's going to play a factor in the game for Atlanta. I already didn't think that they were going to win anyway, just because of the way Denver is just playing lights out defense. Super Bowl hangover, my tail, it's not existing with Denver. Plus, just due to the fact that even though they have more of an inexperienced quarterback, they're doing some great things on offense. I think C.J. Anderson's going to have a huge game this week, and yeah, I think Atlanta's going to get stifled, and Denver will move on to a 5-0 record. Do you agree with that pick?
I definitely agree with that pick. I think the Broncos are going to cool off the hot Falcons, and I expect for the Broncos to melt them some matty ice this week.
That was I see what you did there.
So I definitely think that the Broncos have an edge in this game. They're going to play some solid defense. Defense and running game wins the game. You know, that's the formula for success in the NFL. I expect for the Broncos to dominate this game. You know, now Matt Ryan has played great football, but you know, the X factor is Julio Jones. I think that the Broncos have a key to leave, and they can put a safety over the top.
Right.
So, you know, they can eliminate that.
Do you think that Atlanta will be blown out? Like, will it be a double-digit win for Denver, or?
I think that the game it'll be 10 points or higher.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so we're both riding with Denver on this game, the Super Bowl champs, to continue to prevail and also to remain undefeated as the Falcons come to town. So also on the docket at 4:25 on this one, we have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to the Dallas Cowboys, and this is an interesting game here. High expectations for both teams. You know, you've been riding with Cincinnati as the division winner for all the season thus far, but you changed your mind on the Washington Redskins on our most previous podcast, and now you're rolling with Dallas. So these are your two divisional winners of the AFC North and the NFC North facing each other. What are your thoughts on this game, Guru? Who wins?
I like the savant head coach Marvin Lewis to find a way to pull this game out. I think that the Bengals are back on track defensively with the newly matured linebacker Vontaze Burfict, even though I never in the first place thought he was doing anything so bad in the first place. Because, I mean, when you think about it, you know, football players come up through middle school, Pop Warner, high school, college.
Yeah.
They're trained to be defensive wrecking machines, you know, if they play defense their whole time. So, you know, when they get to the NFL, when they're knocking the hell out of people, they're doing what they're trained to do.
Right.
I've never really looked at Vontaze Burfict in such a negative light because he was doing what he's supposed to do. That's, you know, what he's been trained to do all these years. And I'm sure that, you know, in a locker room playing defense, I'm 100% sure that's what those coaches put in his head. You know, that's the type of, you know, speeches that they give. You know, let's go out here and let's knock hell out of some people.
Right.
You know, that's what they tell you to do in those locker room speeches. They don't tell you to go out there and let's play some clean football.
Right.
They tell you to go out there and knock the hell out of somebody. So Vontaze Burfict was doing his job. But, you know, now that he's a more matured player in the eyes of the media, then I'll say, you know, he's the leader of the defense. He's the captain of the defense. I expect the Bengals defense to play very, very good football this week. They'll pull this game out by 3. You know, the Cowboys are playing good defense and playing a good offense as well. No Dez Bryant, so, you know, that's one advantage for the Bengals. They don't have to worry about Dez. And the Cowboys definitely have to worry about A.J. Green. So, you know, I like the Bengals in this game.
So now you're going to remix the name of Vontaze Burfict, and now he's Vontaze Perfect, according to you. Like, he's just that guy now, huh?
I never had a problem with Vontaze Burfict in the first place. I always looked at it like, you know, he does what, you know, the defensive coordinators program him to do, you know.
But now that he's like a media darling, so now he's Vontaze Perfect. Interesting. Of his growth and development. Yeah, he's come a long way from that January playoff loss, most definitely. This is a tough game for me to pick for personal reasons. I mean, Cincinnati is a division rival. I don't want them to win. And because I like the Steelers, and I mean, I still have questions to this day of how Dallas is still running around calling themselves America's team when they've only won 2 playoff games since 1996. So while we're voting this year, we might need to do another poll a Census Bureau phone call survey says something. Yeah, we might need to get that updated as soon as possible. But anyway, I wouldn't mind if this game ended in a tie. I remember a few years ago, Cincinnati and the Eagles tied. So let's get Cincinnati to tie again. I don't want either one of these teams to win, to be totally honest. But on paper, like you said, AJ Green, who's going to contain him? Like, that's the most difficult task right there. Covering AJ Green to me is more difficult than covering Julio Jones. See, when the Panthers played Atlanta last week, there was no safety help. Julio was just pretty much man-to-man, one-on-one. I know he had to be sitting there at the line of scrimmage before the ball snapped. Like, I can't believe these mugs got me on one-on-one with a rookie. So I know he was in somewhere laughing like, thank you for these gifts. But I've seen AJ Green be double covered and still get off. You know what I mean? And he's coming off of that. He said 10 days of rest, coming off that big win against Miami, though the big stats, the big numbers that he put up. I don't think that they'll be as big, but still, I think that I don't think that there's anyone on Dallas that can stop him. Now, no Tyler Eifert, most likely, as he's still struggling.
He still possibly might play. Now, I mean, you know, they said that he tweaked his back in practice, but it's not serious. So, I mean, it's looking like he still could play.
Right, it's very possible. I will give Dallas the advantage of playing at home. 2 weeks ago, I would have said Cincinnati's going to tear this rookie up. But I've seen what Denver's quarterback, even though he's not a rookie on paper, I mean, this is still like he's finally starting numerous back-to-back games. So he's an inexperienced quarterback. And I saw what he did to Cincinnati a few weeks ago in Cincinnati.
No Vontaze.
Right, I mean, I get that. No, I'm not taking that away from him. But what I mean by that, I was saying that to say he had such a good game. And I think Dak is a better quarterback than him.
He is.
So it's really tough for me to go against Dak because of how he's been playing. But it always is sticking out to me like a sore thumb that this is a rookie and they're going to throw the kitchen sink at him. But Dak is over 100 passes in with no turnovers. That's impressive for any quarterback, nonetheless a rookie. But yeah, no Dez Bryant. The running game is picking up for Dallas, though.
I really don't like that running game against Cincinnati this week.
I mean, I don't like it either, but you can't abandon the run. Like, you can't just pass. Ask Andrew Luck how that's working out for him. I like Marvin Lewis better than Jason Garrett. I think he's a smarter coach. So I'll go with Cincinnati just consequently by default. Again, I'm hoping for that tie. Since you did it before against Philly, do it for me again against another division, another NFC East opponent in the Dallas Cowboys. So I'll take that tie. That would be great if you could do that. But yeah, I'll give Cincinnati a slight edge on the road just due to the fact that Marvin Lewis is their coach and not Jason Garrett.
It's going to be too much AJ Green.
But AJ Green could still have a good game and they still lose.
I don't see that happening this week. And,
I mean, I hope it does. I mean,
and you know, Burfict wasn't there. You know, the game that you referenced against Denver, Burfict wasn't there. You know, he's like the captain of the defense. He wears the green dot on the helmet. He's the one that takes the plays in from Marvin Lewis. He knows how to set up the defense, get everybody into spots where they're supposed to be. You know, they got Michael Johnson, and
but Dak is still a better quarterback than Denver's is. Why is his name not coming to me? Simeon,
yeah.
Thank you. Dak's still a better quarterback than him. Burfict in the roster or not.
Dak is definitely a better quarterback than Simeon. But it's not like he's going out there like gangbusters every game anyway. He's not turning the ball over, don't get me wrong. But he hasn't thrown no 2, 3, 4 touchdown games. He's thrown maybe 1, 2 touchdown games against everybody he's played. Yeah, I don't think he's had more than 2 touchdowns yet.
But that's okay. What's wrong with winning games like that?
Nothing wrong with that. But
so that's what he has to do again.
But when has he played against a defense with a front like this?
I mean, he has it, but that's part of the reason, again, why I'm saying he cannot afford to abandon the run. Because if they stack that box on him and force him to beat him, that's going to rattle his confidence. And that's going to be like, hey, man, we got to get you to throw the ball 40 times. You don't want to put that type of pressure on your rookie quarterback.
You're right.
So right about that. They got to establish that run as well. And with Zeke doing as good as he did last week, Dallas just needs to continue to build off of that and help the rookie out this game. The rookie's been winning games, so y'all got to help the rookie out on this one. Turn the favor, pay it forward. All right, so the next 4:25 game is the Buffalo Bills traveling to the Los Angeles Rams. And Buffalo's coming off of a huge win last week, which I actually predicted that as an upset on my radio interview live in Jacksonville, Florida as well. Buffalo was my upset pick, and they did not disappoint as they gave New England their first loss last week. Now they travel to the Rams. Now the Rams aren't undefeated. There's not really a target on the Rams back per se, but it is in LA. So Buffalo is traveling usually East Coast going to West Coast doesn't really matter as much, and plus because they're playing at 4:25 instead. But this is a Buffalo team that still we're trying to figure out. We still don't all the way have the complete 100% answers on Buffalo. But which Buffalo will show up this week? Will it be the victorious Buffalo or the losing Buffalo? Guru?
I think the hungry Rex is still hungry. I think that, he's going to T-Rex these boys this week. I like the Buffalo Bills to win this game. Considering that the Rams have won 3 straight, and I don't even know how they won 3 straight, but they've won 3 straight games. 3-1 right now, sitting at the top of the division. They're going to go back to being who they really are this week. The Buffalo Bills is going to find a way to pull this game out. It may be a nasty defensive game, but then at the same time, the Rams have been scoring points and allowing points. But then some games they play solid defense and don't allow anything. So I don't really get it. But I expect Tyrod to get off against this defense. It's hard to get to a quarterback who can run a 4-3 like Tyrod. So I think that, he'll cause some problems for them, with LaShawn McCoy. Sammy Watkins is probably going to still be out. But I definitely like Buffalo in this game.
Wow, you were ice cold right there with some of the stuff that you were saying about the Rams. I mean, you were like ice cold coffee TV on some of the things that you were saying there about the Rams. But I agree, in that 3-game stretch, I still have questions of how they won. But they did get the wins. And it is tough for me to go against the Rams because I'm a Ram from Winston-Salem State University, just like William Hayes, who plays for the Los Angeles Rams. So he's a Ram squared. He's a Winston-Salem State Ram. He's a Los Angeles Ram, and he's also a Taurus like me. But yeah, we went to college together, and it's always hard for me to root against him. He's one player, on that team. Everybody else, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, well, you play with them. I don't really have any other favorites on there, but I love me some Rex Ryan. And I had made a video a few weeks ago, when Buffalo lost to the Jets, and I was like, look, Rex needs to gain some weight. Nobody likes the skinny. Nobody really likes skinny. And I pulled out a bunch of examples of, when Ricky Lake tried to return, didn't nobody like her because she was 90 pounds lighter. They're like, this is not the Ricky Lake from the 90s. We like big Ricky Lake. We like big Luther Vandross. We like big Luther's songs better than skinny Luther. I mean, Christmas is coming soon. You go to the mall, you don't want your kids to take no pictures with no skinny Santa Claus. You're gonna wait for the fat Santa. You're gonna wait for the big Santa. We like big Mike and Molly. The show got canceled this past May. They lost too much weight, and I know the premise of it was for them to lose weight, but they got too skinny in real life, and the characters, we ain't like that, so we got them canceled. And this is the same thing about Rex. We liked you when you were big, lovable, huggable, moxie, gung-ho Rex Ryan. And what I've noticed, though, it looks like Rex has picked up a couple more pounds. So maybe he's taking my advice, because you can be big and healthy. So that's not a problem. It looks like Rex has gained a couple of pounds. Maybe that's where the momentum is coming from. And I think that he'll be able to feast a little bit this week on the LA Rams. Gain you a couple more pounds, Rex, as well. But I think that you guys will be victorious in this. Quick might have a good game, but you still have Case Keenum. You still have issues at quarterback. Rams defense has been playing pretty well, has been keeping him in the game, but there's a lot of questions at the offense, and it'll be predator and prey, because Rex, we've known that Rex is capable of being a defensive genius. He's getting some of his health back. One of the guys that was suspended, his name doesn't come to me right now, but all that's kind of coming back into fruition, and I think that they'll be able to continue their. Yes, thank you. And I think that they'll be able to continue and add another game to the win streak and beat the Rams on the road. So we move on to a huge divisional game. This is honestly one of my favorite divisional games. It doesn't matter what anybody's record is. I always love to see the San Diego Chargers play the Oakland Raiders. I don't know why. It seems like it's always so dramatic. It's a good game. Doesn't matter if it's in Qualcomm. It doesn't matter if it's with the black hole. I don't know. This is just this ain't even my division, but I just always love when San Diego and Oakland plays. I don't know what it is about when those two get together. And so here we are, week 5, the Chargers travel to the Raiders. San Diego, of course, it seems like every week it's another devastating loss. They lost Verrett this week too.
Right.
They've lost Manti Te'o. They've lost Keenan Allen. And it's just oh my gosh, can they live? Seriously. But this is a resilient team. You know, Phillip Rivers, the pride of NC State, he is a killer instinct. That guy's got heart. He might not have all the wins to match. And I know there's always been a lot of pressure with Phillip Rivers because Eli, who came out in that class, and Ben Roethlisberger, who came out in that class, they both have 2 rings, and he doesn't have one. So I know it's a lot of pressure with that. But this guy's a winner. Again, killer instinct and everything. So he'll be resilient with losing a lot of the players this week. But I don't think that will be enough to beat Oakland. Oakland, who I've picked to win the division, they got a lot of ammunition. The one thing though about Oakland is y'all's pass defense, and this is the Guru's team when I'm saying y'all are at the bottom of the totem pole in pass yards, and Phillip Rivers is a gunslinger. That's the one thing that really, really concerns me is y'all's pass defense. But y'all do have some offense to match. The Chargers aren't as balanced as I think they need to be on offense. You guys do pretty well in that, and your front 7 is dynamic. But the fact that you don't stop the pass, but again, because Phillip Rivers likes to throw, maybe this could be y'all coming out party. Regardless of your pass yard stats, I do think that y'all do enough to get it done with this win at home this week, and I'm sure you agree with that, right?
I definitely agree with that, and
surprise.
I think that the Raiders have not won a home game yet, so this will be the first home win for the Oakland Raiders this week at O.Co Coliseum. One thing that I want to talk about a little bit, the numbers do lie on the Oakland Raiders defense, because one misleading number about the Raiders defense is talking about, how the pass defense is ranked dead last. This is a dead last ranked pass defense, who allowed a lot of yards in the first 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They made several adjustments, inserting the middle linebacker Corey James, inserting the rookie safety Carl Joseph, putting in the young defensive tackle Jihad Ward. Mm-hmm. And ever since they made that change, the last 2 games, they've been stout on the pass. They've been stout on defense in general. The Ravens didn't even get a pass touchdown. They got that long pass touchdown in the fourth quarter with Steve Smith. They didn't even have a touchdown before that. That's a misleading stat for people who have not seen the Oakland Raiders play. Mm-hmm. And I expect for that to rear its ugly head this week, because people are not going to be expecting for the Raiders' pass defense to be solid, but they will be solid against Phillip Rivers. I'm sure they've looked at plenty of tape. None of these receivers are players that are new to the team other than Travis Benjamin. So he's a playmaker that, I'm sure that can be contained. Sean Smith will probably do a pretty good job of guarding him. Mm-hmm. I expect for the Raiders to come out fired up at home and win this game.
Interesting. And again, I agree with you on that. It's just, as I alluded to as well, because of the fact that Phillip likes to throw the ball so much, this may be your chance to kind of prove everything wrong, to prove that 32nd ranked pass defense wrong. And again, as you said, the first 2 games, especially because you played the Saints week 1, and we all know Drew Brees likes to throw, and then week 2 you played the Falcons, and we all know that Matt Ryan likes to throw the ball. So yeah, you bring up a good point there. You're onto something there, and here we go with Phillip Rivers, who can be kind of similar to those guys, but maybe you guys will rebound and pick him apart a little bit. And plus, you're more familiar with him too, because you play him twice a year, where Matt Ryan and Drew Brees not so much.
Phillip Rivers took 2 losses against Oakland last season.
Yeah, you guys did sweep them. And you get this one at home. And usually, even though you don't have any home wins yet, you usually play San Diego very well at home, and you should be able to bounce back. So that concludes the 405 and 425 games on the docket for Week 5. Moving on to the Sunday night game. All right, so we have the New York Giants taking on the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, Green Bay, we did not see them play last week, and it was because they had an early bye. And we actually saw the Giants in primetime last week as well, as they traveled to Minnesota. So they played another NFC North opponent, lost that game. Do you expect the same as they take on this new NFC North opponent, but also on the road, Guru?
I don't like the Giants in this game. I think that Green Bay at Lambeau will take this game, considering that they're coming out of the bye. They've had time to kind of, fix some of the problems that they've been having. Randall Cobb has definitely committed to, playing better. Jordy Nelson, has had a little bit more time to work with Aaron Rodgers, kind of to work on to get their chemistry back. I think that the Green Bay Packers come out in this game like gangbusters.
The Giants were before the beginning of the season, the New York Giants, which I have been calling them the New York Miniatures, because over the past 4 years, they have not gone to the playoffs. But I thought this was the year that they returned to the New York Giants because of all the things that they did in free agency with their defense and the reestablishing that front 7 and also picking up linebackers and corners. So the Giants are kind of a team that I hold near and dear to me, especially with the pick that I made in thinking they would win the division. But this is a different Giants team than I expected. And I ain't even talking about just on the field. Like, just the stuff with Odell. Like, Odell is becoming a TO to the team, unfortunately. He's becoming detrimental to the team. And it's sad because he's so talented, just like T.O. was. And he ain't won no rings, just like T.O. hasn't. So I'm like, dude, we need to reel you back in. Don't become a T.O. of the team because, you know, T.O. started getting shipped out. T.O. stopped having fun. Odell has announced that he's no longer having fun. The fact that Tom Coughlin's now getting involved. See, T.O. kind of went through those things as well. This carbon copy that I'm seeing, I'm not pleased with it. I think it's bad for him personally, and I think it's bad for the Giants as well. Nobody really needs to be talking about stuff that's not associated in between on that gridiron. Like, when we're going into games with you all, we need to be talking about pass rush, weaknesses in secondary, who's going to win the line of scrimmage, that type of stuff. We don't need to be talking about all the other issues surrounding it. Like, well, what's wrong with Odell? And the fact that Tom Coughlin's involved. And the fact that he tweeted. Like, we don't need to be talking about that. So I need for the Giants to really get back on track, get all of that reestablished, get those priorities reestablished. And I think playing against Green Bay is a good start because you're playing a Green Bay who, any momentum that they had, you know, having a bye week so early can be a gift and a curse. It can give you rest, give you more time to readjust. It can also, if somebody's injured or tired, it works on that too. But what it also does is kill momentum. Like having that interruption in the middle of the season like that, especially if you're winning games back to back and then you got to bye, that kind of kills it. Like when you go into the playoffs and you get that first week bye, especially if you want a winning streak, that could kind of kill your buzz and kill what you could do. Green Bay is very vulnerable in this game. Now, I think we are long overdue to see the Aaron Rodgers that we're familiar with, and it's time to see the Randall Cobb that we know of as well. But I like the Giants in this one as an upset because I liked them last week against Minnesota, but that's only because I thought that the Giants' pass rush was going to match Minnesota's pass rush and do the things to Sam Bradford that Minnesota's defense had done to Cam and other quarterbacks, including Eli as of now. The Packers don't have the Minnesota defense. Julius Peppers is older, Clay Matthews, different things like that. They just don't have it. Now, I do think that the Giants' pass rush and their defense is going to have to do a little bit more work this week because of the type of quarterback that Aaron Rodgers is, and plus he's not one-dimensional. He can kill you with a shotgun, he can kill you with a bootleg, any of that. Aaron Rodgers could do it. So I'm concerned for the Giants on defense a little bit, but not so much concerned on the offense. And I think that the offense will get things back on track, and I am picking the Giants for us. I'm going to roll with y'all one more time, Giants, on the road. I think that you guys will pull it out.
I think that Mike McCarthy's had 2 weeks to plan for these boys, so I think that, you know, that's to their advantage. I also feel that with Green Bay struggling going into the bye, you know, McCarthy's had time to kind of fix some of the problems that they've had. So, you know, coming into this game, I expect for the Green Bay Packers to be back to being a machine offensively.
Well, we would definitely see. So we're going to split on that one there. You picking the home team, the Packers, and I'm picking the road upset for the Giants. And plus the Giants, I mean, both of the Super Bowls they won, they were wild card teams. They won 3 games on the road in playoffs both of those times. So they are road warriors. So, yeah, I'm going to just keep rocking with the Giants on that one. So that concludes the Sunday night's games. We move on to the Monday night game, a divisional game which I will be in attendance, weather pending, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to the reigning NFC South champions, the reigning NFC, the whole entire conference champions, who look like a former shell of themselves. But they face off against each other on Monday, and of course, both teams are 1-3. If all else fails, whoever wins, I mean, you get a little bit closer to 500. Still below 500, but you get a little closer to 500. And my goodness, somebody's going to actually drop to 1-4 in this game. Sheesh. I'd hate to be on the opposite end of that. But what you're going to do for me, Guru, and I believe you'll be able to do this, which one of these teams is going to go to 2-3? So consequently, who's going to be 1-4?
I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to shock the world in this game like Mr. October. I think that Jameis Winston, people are looking at him like he's struggling at this point, but he did just come from playing against 2 elite defenses back-to-back. So, you know, I don't think it was necessarily him struggling more than, you know, the fact that he just played the Broncos. And before that, he played against another team, the Rams, you know, who was a good defense as well. So I think that, you know, now a reeling defense like the Carolina Panthers, you know, who just allowed Julio Jones to have his career high.
Right.
in yards. To me, that outlook only looks better for Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is going to cause all kinds of problems. Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson together. I think the tight end Brait, and then they've got Humphreys underneath in the slot. I really like this Tampa offense. I think that they're going to cause all kind of problems for Carolina this week. And I think that Tampa's going to rise up and take this win.
I'll give Carolina an advantage on this one. I like everything you said about Tampa, and I definitely detect a lot of accuracy in that. But the thing about Carolina is why I can't go against them is because you are the NFC champions. You are the NFC South champions as well for 3 years in a row, possibly going for 4. I just refuse to believe that Carolina's just going to keep spiraling. And the fact that you're coming off of such an embarrassing loss in Atlanta and you get this extra day to prepare for Tampa just like they get an extra day, I just think that you'll find some way to pull it together and take care of business. I also trust Ron Rivera more than I trust Dirk. I like his name. I like Dirk Kotter, the name. But this is still the NFL Coach of the Year that we have, too, in Ron Rivera. I think that he'll just strategically plan it better. We've seen Carolina dismantle Tampa. As of last year, the week 17, as a matter of fact, that game was in Carolina. And I think that was kind of the demise of former coach Lovie Smith because of the way that Carolina did. Now, if Tampa would have played a little bit of more of a closer game, or maybe even won, and that might have bought them some time. But I was sitting down there at that game looking like they probably about to fire Lovie. They probably are. The way that Tampa was looking in that game. I don't think it'll look as bad this year, but I still think that it'll be the same results, that Carolina would just simply find a way to win, because this is a matter of life or death here with your team. You're at the last straw. This is the end, because if you go to 1-4, you can pretty much cancel Christmas on that. But I think Carolina, again, will find a way to get it done. All right, so that's our picks for the remaining schedule for Week 5. Again, we want to remind you to just keep your eyes out on the situation in Miami, as that Tennessee and Miami Dolphins game could get relocated. Also, keep your thoughts and prayers with the families affected, the ones in Haiti and the Bahamas, and the ones that are anticipating the damages associated with the storm. Definitely keep everyone in your thoughts and prayers, and be safe yourself. Evacuate if you have to. Don't try to be the hero or none of that, because you can't beat no storm. Okay, you can get lucky, but you cannot beat a storm. It's just got a mind of its own. But again, everyone just be careful and be safe. So, Guru, any way that people can reach you? With you being in North Carolina, there might be some adjustments in your plans and schedules, but still, there's other events that may be coming up. A&T Homecoming, for example. If anybody needs services, anything like that, how can they get a hold of you?
Like Cold Coffee TV on Facebook, follow Cold Coffee TV on Twitter, and subscribe to Cold Coffee TV on YouTube. Run with us or run from us, baby. You know the motto.
Al, and he's Raider Nation down too. And as far as myself, Latasha Miles, aka Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess, I can be located on Facebook at Latasha Joan Madden Miles. Again, Latasha Joan Madden Miles on Facebook. On Twitter and IG at she_SPN. Again, at she_SPN. The YouTube channel is SheSPN the Network. Again, SheSPN the Network on YouTube. And lastly, I have a book out entitled When Football Season Turns You Into His Side Chick, The Ultimate Survival Guide for Relationships and Households During Football Season. It's available right now on Amazon.com and CreateSpace.com. So we greatly appreciate you guys supporting us. Any love, networking, likes, shares, comments, hugs, any of that, we definitely appreciate it. And thanks so much for those tuning in. We've noticed a little bit of traffic picking up on SoundCloud, so whoever those anonymous folks are, we definitely appreciate it. And the beats that you've been hearing throughout the transitions of this episode, well, all episodes, they're brought to you by the Guru here. Again, very modest guy, but he puts in that work, and he's a superstar, but one that won't tell you. You'll have to tell him, because otherwise he doesn't believe it himself. All right, so that's going to conclude this installment of the Jock and Jill podcast. We will pick up, we're taking the weekend off. We'll resume with you guys later. And again, everyone, please be safe, because this Hurricane Matthew is nothing to play with.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband, because they raping everybody out here.
He's out jovial. I'm up here trying to be all serious, and my eyes are closed. I'm like pouring my heart out, hard on my sleeve. And here he come with this. See this coonery I gotta deal with. Yeah, we're gonna conclude it this time. Again, thanks again, you guys, so much. We'll catch you next time, and we're out.